say this, you brought up about having the correct information and about Jesus, and I want to put them in proper perspective, and I want to do that from a book, another one of the books that I call books, the Lazarus Book Club, to Wake Up the Dead. And this book is called The Jewish Wars by Flavius Josephus. Now, what makes this book so important is because this book is written by a person who come from the same town where Jesus come from, Galilee, and also lived during the same time. His name is Flavius Josephus, one of the most important historians when you're going to talk about Jesus. See, what we need to understand about the Messiah Jesus, you want to read that book. You also want to become familiar with what they call the Dead Sea Scrolls that they found in 1947. This is where they got the oldest documents of the Old Testament in the language that Jesus spoke. Now remember, the King James Version and all of that was translated into Greek through the works of the Apostle Paul. See, now as far as Jesus being what you call a Muslim, only in the sense that the word Muslim means peace, but they existed in different historical periods. The Prophet Muhammad came after the time period of the Messiah Jesus. When you're talking about the Messiah Jesus, you're talking about two types of Christianity. You're talking about the type of Christianity that developed from the teachings of Jesus, and then you're talking about the type of Christianity that developed when the Apostle Paul went to Asia Minor and took the teachings of Jesus there. And then later on, by the time the Emperor Constantine came along, you had two trends of Christianity that viewed Jesus differently. You had the one that Apostle Paul, they deified Jesus. They looked at Jesus as God because he went to the educated world. The ones that went to Judea, the disciples to Jesus, they viewed Jesus as the Messiah. So Constantine, he called the first Nicene conference. It was at Nicaea, July the 4th, 325 AD, and they had to decide on which type of Christianity they were going to move in. And they chose the teachings of the Apostle Paul. And this was the beginning of the Roman Universal Church. And the word universal is Catholic. And that's where all your denominations and all of that, they come from that period. The first important period, 325 AD at the first Nicene Council. And then the next important period is the year 1611, when King James, the King James Version of the Bible was developed. See? And so those are really, but what you got to understand about, I mentioned it earlier, it's all about the economic system in which we exist in. And when we're talking about the economic system, we're talking about the means of production, how you get the things that you need to survive on. And there's only two types, the communal and the competitive. The communal is in ancient histories. As far as they could travel back, the economic system was communal all the way up until the Babylonian Empire, when an individual named Seb, that they called Nimrod, developed the Code of Hammurabi. And the Code of Hammurabi put value system on products that was out in nature, on what was the value system of it. And those, that's capitalism. And as we exist today, capitalism is a revolving entity, that always need new markets to exploit. And as I pointed out earlier, for those that live in Los Angeles, You got the perfect laboratory to see capitalism as a dual ethnic economic communities, where a particular ethnic group control the economic life and the cultural life of their community, and also exist in what I call the shopping mall community, where all the ethnic groups mix and exchange. Now, the descendants of the slaves of America, because of our history, we exist only in the shopping mall community. We don't have any community. If you have any, tell me where they at, where we control the economic and cultural life of a particular community. We got hoods, but we don't have a community. I think it's very important to understand.
You see, are you paying attention? We live in a time of birth pains. Are you paying attention? The floods, the earthquakes, hurricanes, wars and rumors of wars, poverty, hunger, despair, a world where very few people seem to care. Are you paying attention? So Pilate had called the Messiah Jesus to the side. He said, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Messiah Jesus said, "Are you asking this of yourself, or did someone else tell you about me?" Pilate said, "Am I a Jew? Your own people deliver you unto me for judgment. Am I a Jew?" Messiah Jesus said, "I come to bear witness to the truth. All of those that of the truth would hear my voice." Pilate said, "What is truth?" And he had walked away. You know, the irony of the situation is that probably the only person in the universe who could have answered that question was standing before Pilate. But Pilate had walked away. If Pilate hadn't walked away, Jesus might have told him about the men of Nineveh who shall rise up in judgment of this generation and condemn it, because they repented at the teachings of Jonah, and one greater than Jonah was there. But Pilate hadn't walked away. If Pilate hadn't walked away, then Jesus might have told him about the Queen of Sheba who shall rise up in judgment of this generation and condemn it, because she traveled from the forest coast of Africa to behold the wisdom of Solomon. Behold, one greater than Solomon was there. But Pilate had walked away. If Pilate hadn't walked away, Jesus might have told him what he told those other disciples that followed him. "If you continue in my words, you are my disciples indeed. You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." And with those liberating words, I leave you like I greeted you, with the greetings of all of the servants of God. Peace be upon you.
Silence, and I hear you. I hear you. A poem could be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the digging lobby flavor. A poem could be safer, but the mix is really greater in the mix of time and the digging lobby flavor. A poem could be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the digging lobby flavor. A poem could be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the digging lobby flavor. A poem could be safer.